The movie starts where we see a boy named Norman, who was very fond of space and aliens, and he always felt that there is someone else in space other than humans, and his plan was that one day he will prove to humans that aliens do exist. After this, the scene shifts and we see an evil alien in a galaxy far away, whose name was Zolthard, and his power was that he could control people with his mind, and that's why he created a very big army for himself, which had all the robots. Zolthard wanted him to be able to attack different planets and to be able to control the people living there. On the other side, we see the leader of the intergalactic forces, whose name was Max. He was only trying with his companions to fail this plan of Zolthard, and this was his last mission. When Zolthard finds out that Max is coming to ruin his plan with his two friends, Gus and Sophie, he puts all his robot army behind him. Now when Sophie finds out, she drives her plane very fast, where there is a very big wormhole ahead. Even though she knows that this wormhole can take her anywhere, Sophie doesn't stop because now she just had to escape from Zolthard's army, and she goes inside this wormhole. On the other side, we see Norman, who is sleeping very peacefully, but suddenly his eyes open. He finds out that he is getting late for his school like the other days, after which he runs to school. Before he goes to normal school, a bully comes here and starts hitting Norman. But Norman's very good friend Charlene comes and saves him. On the other side, we see that some spaceships have come out of this wormhole, and this is the one in which Max and his team are. Now here we find out that these are small aliens, that is, not very big, and their spaceship directly falls into Norman's drink, which Norman drinks with pleasure with a straw. Max and his team also don't understand what's going on. And on the other hand, Norman doesn't understand either. It seems like he has drunk something. On the other hand, we see that Zolthard had also come to Earth now, and here he was not getting Max and his team. Zolthard tells his army to find out where Max is, but here his team's people say that we will have to arrange a place for ourselves first, because our spaceship is in front of Zolthard. The principal of this school comes, who is scolding everyone, and Zolthard thinks that this should be used, after which he lets the principal's mind control. Max and his friends now control the nervous system in Norman's body, so that all the movements can be controlled. Norman doesn't understand this, and he starts doing strange things in this way, after which his friends think that he has gone completely mad. In the class, Norman does very strange things in front of everyone, after which he is embarrassed and immediately goes to the classroom. There he hears these voices in his mind. These were the voices of Max and his team. Max and his team now tell Norman that how Zolthard is an evil alien, and he is controlling all the people on Earth. First, Norman is very happy, because he always wanted to prove the existence of aliens, and today his dream was fulfilled. In a little while, Norman's best friend Charlene comes to the washroom, but before Norman explains anything to her, here Norman's class teacher comes in and tells Norman to come with me to the principal's office, because you were behaving very strange in the class. After this, the teacher takes Norman to the principal's office, where the principal himself was in control of Zolthard and was doing strange things. He was seeing very strange things in the other world. These were not at all new for him. When the teacher goes to the office with Norman, he sees that the principal is talking about a mothership again and again, because of which Max and his team know in Norman's mind that this is not the principal but Zolthard. Max immediately tells Norman to run away from this office. But the way Norman was trying to get out of there, the principal also finds out that Max and the rest of his team are in Norman's mind, after which Zolthard immediately puts his teacher and a colleague in his control. Now all of them run after Norman together. Norman tries very hard not to get caught in any way, but in the end, everyone did not get caught. Here Sophie controls his mind, after which some strange power comes inside Norman. Escaping everyone, Norman reaches the school gate with great difficulty, but by the time he reaches here, all his energy runs out. But before the principal and the other teachers can catch Norman, Charlene comes here and puts Norman in a golf cart, and in the midst of all this, Norman tells his friend the whole story of how he has some aliens in his mind. And he has told Norman how an evil alien wants to take over the whole world. And with this, before Charlene tells him anything, the teachers reach him in a golf cart, but Charlene is very sharp. Somehow she escapes from him. In the school, the principal puts the rest of the teachers in his control and tells them that how we have to make a transmitter so that he can call his entire robot army on there was a problem with all this. The coordinates of that wormhole were with Max, after which he tells the principal teacher that we will need Norman for this work. Now with this, they announce in the whole school that the holiday is over, after which all the children run away from the school very happy. And here all these people get ready to make a transmitter. After this, some friends tell Charlene that how the teachers are going to school with strange things, which have some electronics and some wires. Now after hearing all this, Max and his team tell Norman that they are definitely making that transmitter. Max here explains to Norman that how now this plan of Zolthard will have to be spoiled. After which he calls some more friends along with Charlene, because all this work was not done by two people alone. Charlene, Norman, and the rest of the friends go back to school together, where the teachers were still collecting all the things. Here on the screens, Charlene was seeing all the things, as if she was seeing in the courtroom that how that transmitter is being made. And in the same way, it was very easy for them that she tells Norman and his friend Sophie once again to Norman that how this plan will have to be stopped in some way or the other. Otherwise, his entire robot army will reach the Earth. And after this, it will be very easy for Zolthard to control everyone. Norman had a friend Frankie, who was very smart. Now she tells Norman that she will create a virus, which she will put in the transmitter, and after that this transmitter will not work. Now Norman likes this idea very much, and in the midst of all this, Gus Alien was ready to help them. Norman tells this to his friend Charlene. But in the meantime, his teacher reaches here, who had heard all this. Now Frankie runs away from there, but Norman is caught here, after which that teacher takes Norman and reaches after Zolthard. On the other side, a teacher also reaches to Charlene and her friend, who is obviously in Zolthard's control. They start running away from the teacher and reach a very big room, where there were a lot of costumes. Here they also get that bully, who had bullied Norman at the very start. Seeing so many costumes, a friend of Norman gets an idea that how he can get rid of all these teachers and can help Norman. On the other side, that small alien robot had reached in Norman's mind Max. There was only one robot in front of these three aliens, but it was so powerful that it was very difficult for these three to compete with it. Sophie tells them how this robot follows the instructions given by Max Sophie, and with great difficulty, this robot is disabled. On the other side, we see Frankie, who had now reached the school roof while running, and there was his plan to somehow reach the transmitter. When Max, Sophie, and Gus go back to Norman's head, they see that another robot has reached there, and he was looking for all these coordinates. Here they had a plasma gun, which they use on that robot. But the whole robot does not end here. His head and hand had still survived, with which it is known that many coordinates have now reached Zolthard. Frankie was on the football court, and she had reached the transmitter, after which she was connecting that virus with this transmitter on her phone. But here Zolthard sees her, and immediately tells the other teachers to activate the transmitter. Here Frankie was trying full on that somehow suddenly this transmitter starts going up from the roof of the school, after which there is a lot of destruction and Frankie falls down from there. Here everyone thinks that maybe Frankie has been injured a lot. After a while, Charlene and everyone else wear different kinds of props and reach here. Their purpose was to scare the aliens. In all this, there is a very bad fight between the teachers. After a while, all the things that had fallen there, only Frankie comes out of them. Frankie comes and releases Norman from his chair, after which we see how that transmitter has been turned on and a very fast ray has come out of it, which was going out completely. It went the other way through the same wormhole, and in the same way, all the robot army there had come to know that they had to reach Earth. The mothership had come close to Earth. Norman now tells Sophie to tell him what he has to do, after which Max tells Norman that now this is not his job. Now he has to do something himself. On the other hand, all Norman's friends tell him that he has to activate the Busbo virus, after which everything is fine. After so much motivation, Norman himself decides that he will now go on that transmitter and activate that virus, after which he starts walking on that machine. On the other hand, Zolthard tells his entire army to attack Earth, and one by one, the robot ships start coming out of that mothership. Norman had climbed on that transmitter with great difficulty. Here he just had to go near the computer and activate that virus. But here a teacher comes and attacks Norman and starts pulling him down. Now here Norman was hanging in the air with that computer, but here he does not lose courage and somehow, with difficulty, he activates that virus, after which that transmitter stops immediately. As soon as the transmitter stops, the ray that comes out of it also stops, and with it, all the robot army gets deactivated. Seeing all this, Norman's friends are very happy. Now Norman had also come down, and that big transmitter was also broken. Zolthard, who was still in the principal's body, came here and was very angry. After a while, the police reach outside the school. All of them together tell this police officer that all this was the work of their principal, who has gone completely crazy. With this, the principal is caught. All these children decide that they will not tell anyone what actually happened to them. Norman, whose dream was to tell everyone that aliens exist, wanted to make a documentary about all these things. But here Max explains to him that the people of the world are not ready to know their reality. All the other teachers had now come out of the influence of Zolthard. On the other hand, Zolthard is sent to a mental asylum in the principal's body, where he says that he will definitely take his revenge. After which Max, Sophie, and Gus say that we still have to stay in Norman's body for some time, so that if Zolthard tries to do something again, we can stop him. After which Norman and all his friends go out together.